Welcome to POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone. The Utah Jazz go wire to wire after a 9-0 start to beat the LA Clippers 126-103. They're now 6th in the West, and we're talking about it on POSTCAST. Utah Jazz started 9-0. Lauri Markkanen had 7 of the 9, and then they never trailed this one. In fact, it never got within 10. And, Ron, that's actually one of the things that jumps out to me the most in this game was I said multiple times, like, hey, they're not going to go away. They got a bunch of guys that are relishing the opportunity tonight, but the Jazz put them away. They just never let them get back in this game.
And the most important thing here, David, and just think back to when the Jazz was really rolling and the surprising teams in the NBA and getting off to that great start in that first quarter. That's what was going on. The Jazz outscored them in that first quarter 36-26. And Markkanen, had a total lot to do with that. As you mentioned, 7 of the first 9 points coming from him. But getting off to that first start, regardless of who you're playing, if a team is shorthanded or if you're playing against the Milwaukee Bucks, that first quarter is very, very important.
One of the things we're seeing is the Jazz beginning to be able to, relatively healthy without Kelly Olynyk, be able to put together 5-man lineups and cruise on the floor. We're seeing Kessler, Conley, Markkanen tonight. We're seeing groupings that are really solid. When we've had, now that Kessler's emerged, our best players on the floor together, these guys their numbers are really impressive. It's going to take some time, some better opponents than what they had tonight to be able to tell whether that's really how telling it is. The sample sizes are small, and the Clippers were limited without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But you can see these guys, like, it's coming together.
To me, you can see the difference. Yes, they're absolutely coming together. Players are getting used to playing with each other, and now they have Markkanen, who has really stepped up. Markkanen and Kessler, who has really stepped up his game, and does so many good things around the basket, left and right hand, blocking shots. His defense is definitely good. But Will Harding has a chance now. I've had the luxury since Kelly Olynyk's been out to change the lineup from time to time, depending on the on the opponent, and it seems to have worked. So far with Beasley, he's a scorer. He's a 3-point shooter. Kelly Olynyk is a 3-point shooter, but he's one that he doesn't look to shoot the 3-point shot as often. So Beasley gives the starting lineup something a little bit different than Kelly Olynyk does, but it's Will who's making things, putting things together out there on the floor.
Lauri Markkanen started the night scoring 7 of the first 9. He had 24, I think it was, at the half. He finished with 34 and 12. That was a pretty 6 of 8 from 3. He looked fresh. That was a pretty dominating performance by him tonight.
It really was, and Kessler had a dominating performance there as well. But Markkanen coming off of an injury. Sometimes guys have a little stretch there at the beginning of the ball game where the legs might not be underneath them and they're just not doing everything that you're accustomed to seeing them do. But he got off to such a good start, and I think he really felt good about that. Now, Kessler, David, I was watching him.
You really want to talk about Walker tonight. By the way, I just want to point this out, guys.
I do.
I've taken the show every direction but Walker. Ron wants to talk about Walker. We're talking about Walker. Go. It's Walker. Let's go to Walker.
But I was looking at watching. I wanted to see how he was going to fare against Zubac. Zubac is much stronger around the basket, uses his weight, pushes you underneath. And Kessler held his own tonight. He really did. I think he frustrated Zubac on a couple of occasions, strictly because he's tall enough, big enough, and bothered the shots around the rim. Now, as far as minutes is concerned, they both played just about the same amount of minutes, and both had 12 rebounds, and 13 points, 15 for Zubac, so it was about an even contest. So I was very pleased with that.
Clippers offense, obviously without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and their offense has been bad all year. In the half court tonight was an 84.7. That's really bad. That's about the 18th percentile. Clippers at the rim tonight, according to Cleaning the Glass, shot 9 of 17. Both the 17 is low and shooting 53% at the rim is low. We saw tonight in this game what I would call Rudy Gobert moments.
Yeah.
Moments where guys curled out, didn't take shots because they knew Kessler was there.
Yeah, it's amazing now that, with him being in the starting lineup and those minutes per game are going to go up. He played 25 minutes, I think, tonight. Am I correct?
28.
28 minutes tonight. And I think he can probably play 31 and still be, fresh enough to, to finish basketball games.
He was a plus 15 tonight. Lauri Markkanen was a plus 26 when the Jazz were on the floor. They were pretty dominating. The Jazz actually, it's interesting, they won 3 of the 4 quarters tonight. The third quarter was the one they didn't, but they actually kind of ended the game a little bit in the third quarter. Like it was kind of obvious as we headed to the fourth up 16 that there wasn't going to be much of a battle tonight. So it's a little bit surprising there. Norman Powell had 30 for the Clippers. Walker, as a defensive player, we've talked about a lot. We're not used to having a center who can do things offensively. Yeah. What are you seeing with Walker in his offensive ability around the basket?
Well, let's use Rudy Gobert as an example. The things that Walker can do around the basket, left hand, right hand, you feed him in the right spot, and the footwork in order to score, Rudy Gobert didn't have. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Rudy. I mean,
score the Hall of Fame. We haven't forgotten they scored the Hall of Fame.
But there's a difference in what Walker can bring to this team and what Rudy could there as well.
What do you think he's? At some point, he'll add some shots. Like Valanciunas and Brook Lopez were guys that I've talked to some of the Jazz coaching, like development. The Jazz coach really see development as a progressive, slow, methodical process. So a 3-point shot or some outside shots will come at some point, but maybe not to year 3 or year 4, like long down the road, like work it. What do you think offensively he can do?
Watching him in practice and watching how they're working on him, and I think the next step is that little mid-range shot. All he needs is he doesn't have to shoot a great percentage, just to have the respect from your opponents that I will take this shot. And that would add so much to his game and so much to the Jazz offense and what they're trying to do out there on the floor. I would imagine that that would be the next step for him to take that little mid-range shot. He works very, very hard at it, and if he ever develops that, there's no more dropping the big and leaving him out there around the free throw line by himself.
It's funny. There was a first play of the game. He got it down the block and he passed it back out.
Passed it right out.
You were upset about it, yeah. And then about midway through the third, he got the exact same play and he took the shot. And I said to you in the first break, you were like, "We gotta go back to that play." I was like, there's a chance that he read the room. As a rookie who just had a 20-20, was like, "I'm not shooting the first shot of the game. I don't want to look like I become that guy." I think Walker's pretty self-aware. I think that might have been what we saw in the first the game. I want to single out Mike Conley. Okay. Mike Conley has not committed an assist in 3 straight games. He's now played 90 minutes he's not committed a turnover. In 3 straight games, he is now he had 9 assists tonight and no turnovers. I think he had 9 assists and no turnovers the other night. He's somewhere in the range of about 20 some odd assists and no turnovers and over 90 minutes without a turnover. I mean, it's remarkable.
It's remarkable. It really is, especially for a guy that responsible for getting guys the basketball. You're going to make a mistake sometime, or someone's going to be clever enough to pick your pockets, steal the basketball, and something like that. But that's remarkable. I don't think I've ever, and maybe it's because I haven't paid that much of attention to it, but I haven't heard of anyone doing such a thing.
It's interesting to me. What I think we're watching is Mike Conley figuring out how to play as 35 years old. There's things he can't do anymore.
To help the team, you mean?
Yeah. He's had to change since coming back from the knee injury. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do. He's learning what he can and can't do, and now at 35 years old is playing with that and getting an understanding of what that is.
Sometimes, David, I think in a player like Conley, in the position that he's in, and you watch, he's always teaching during that break when they were trying to determine whether or not that was a foul there with Clarkson on the 3-point shot. The whole time he was talking to Abaji. And you can tell he was trying to explain something because he was using his hands. And so that type of leadership will make you focus there as well when you're trying to explain something to a young player like that, because you don't want to make the same mistake or something like that out there on the floor.
All right, you guys, I think we're going to have a fight tonight over our stars. I can feel it coming. And you guys in the chat room are probably going to have to be the deciding votes here. on the stars. I am voting for my stars first tonight.
Okay.
I am taking Lauri Markkanen. That was a dominating performance. There was a two-play sequence. There was a highlight-filled night. There was a two-play sequence where my call out of nowhere was that he played whack-a-mole on Zubac, and then he followed with a 3 straight down the barrel. He was great. Mike Conley is my second star tonight. I think that 90 minutes without a turnover is worthy of a star. Also hitting 5 threes tonight and keeping the Jazz under control with 17 points. So my 2 stars are Lauri Markkanen and Mike Conley. Ron Boone, go ahead.
Kessler and Mike Conley.
Oh, a surprise.
You're leaving Markkanen out.
God, the kid
You shouldn't have
dropped
missed those games the other right.
34 minutes, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 2 block shots, and you get nothing and like it, Lauri. We're just accepting that
Good ball game.
as a night. All right. He's going Conley and Kessler. I'm going Conley and Markkanen. The Jazz wire to wire, solid win tonight. Have a great one. We'll see you Friday night for Brooklyn. Locked On Jazz coming at you tomorrow morning.